Hey everybody, welcome to week 5. I get back on the video horse, I guess, for this week. And what I want to do is just talk through the strategies that I've been a part of for Giving Hearts Day for a couple of organizations that I volunteer with. So I want to do that rather than walk through the week 5 work. You can take a look at the schedule on that. And I want to try to connect the work that we're doing to some of the readings that we've been doing, although I won't spend a whole lot of time trying to ferret those out with page references and things like that. So talking generally about what I hope you're learning from our text, Social Media for Social Good, and Strategic Social Media. So as I think you might know, I'm supporting two organizations, the New American Consortium for Wellness and Empowerment and African Soul American Heart. Serve on the board for both of those organizations. One of them, the African Soul American Heart, is about 10 years old and has been doing fundraising really since the beginning. The consortium's newer, just in its third year, and has not done as much on the fundraising site. So you'll see that their strategies and their level of participation are different. One thing that I want you all to understand as we watch the social media use for Giving Hearts Day is that organizations are doing an awful lot that isn't on social media, and that's where I wanted to start. So my two organizations actually collaborated to put together this postcard. You can kind of see that down here at the bottom. You can see a little bit of descriptor on the back here. And this is pretty typical for organizations to send out some kind of mailing ahead of time before Giving Hearts Day to let their supporters know that they're participating. One of the reasons that we collaborated has to do with that length of time that I was talking about. New American Consortium has a mailing list of around 100. The ASA, African Soul American Heart, has a mailing list of around 1,000. And so this was a way for a new organization to piggyback on a more established organization, access their mailing list, and get the word out to a larger audience. Now, you're welcome to come by and pick up a card if you want. There's certainly some things that we could have done a little bit differently, maybe better on this card, but I won't go into those details here. But that's sort of the rhetorical work that we also do. But I think overall it turned out pretty nicely. So that was actually sort of how we started our campaigns, with that postcard going out to people. The other thing that we haven't talked a lot about in this class is the relevance of email. Now that might not seem obvious to those of you who are 22 and under, but a lot of us still use email quite a bit. And what I've got up here on the screen right now is an example of the email blast that went out from the New American Consortium. ASA also did a similar one, talking about Giving Hearts Day, talking about the collaboration, talking about what the donation can do, that they're being matched, that up to $5,000, and then obviously an image that shows some of the work that we do, some tutoring that goes on at the We Center with a list of elements there. And so this went to our email list of about 300 people. And most nonprofit organizations, if you're new to the nonprofit, maintain some kind of donor management system, and we use one called Network for Good. ASA uses one called eTapestry, and it's a way for you to build an email list so that you can send out newsletters, electronic newsletters, or email blasts that talk about special events like this one. So those are both parts of the overall messaging that's happening with these organizations, an example of what the consortium in particular is doing. Now, once we get past those two things, then we get into sort of more about what we're doing as an organization. And Facebook is definitely the hub on this one. You can see here I've just got our consortium page up. One of the things that we made, let me scroll up a little bit. Like most organizations, we adjusted our cover photo for the day. Strangely, I had a lot of trouble getting the sizing right on this one. There's actually a little bit more to it than that. You can see down here, played around with the sizes, found that incredibly frustrating that it was not easy to just get the right size on that particular piece. Maybe some of you could have helped me out on that one. But anyway, both organizations updated their cover photos, and then we've been making various kinds of posts. I wanted to highlight this one. One of the things that we did was that we set up an event, a Facebook event, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. And that might seem like an unusual thing for Giving Hearts Day. It's happening over 24 hours. It isn't really one event. But if you've been following us at all, what we're going to do is have the two organizations down at Red River Coffee throughout much of the day, or at least the time that Red River Coffee is open from 6 until 6. And so that's a way in which we're able to create an event which you can invite people to, and in the context of mobilizing your audience, as the strategic social media talks about, this gives us a way to get people to at least think physically about how they can interact with the organization on Giving Hearts Day. And so one of the nice things about events, if you haven't used them, is that you can kind of see who's coming. When you get into them, you can invite specific people. You can repost them to different pages, to personal pages. But we're hoping that that's one way in which our community, which was largely, we think, already established in terms of people at least who like our Facebook page, that we take them from that sort of passive liking into mobilizing them into going to a particular location. The other thing that we're doing at that event is also highlighting the artwork of a local artist, Lana Samala, who does work that's related. The pieces that she's got are related to a lot of children who are seeking safety in the U.S. Recently, you're aware of that. And then she has a cookie series that she also does that are about fairy tales that are often about children seeking safety. And so the message of her artwork resonates, we think, with the missions of our two organizations. Here's the example here of taking a look at Lana's tapestry or mosaic on running into fences, hitting barriers, hitting walls, hitting borders. And so this is a way we're using this piece as an incentive to generate donations. We're using the smaller pieces at a smaller level to hopefully generate donations. Our thinking there is that Lana has followers who like her artwork. They might not know about our organizations. Hopefully they'll find out about our organizations by following her artwork. Now that one you can see actually comes from a Facebook post, but if we go back, or sorry, a Twitter post, but if we go back to Facebook, our strategy has been to have multiple posts, 3 posts a day on Facebook. I'm not sure we've been able to keep up with that, but that was our strategy. If I can find it here, I've actually also got, this is just our social media plan, and I could send this out to you, but you can see Monday we had a Facebook plan, we had a message, we had links to Facebook, we had our planned hashtags. On Twitter, we've got our 4 Twitter posts recommended there. On Instagram, we've got our strategy there. So one of our board members has quite a bit of experience with social media as well, and so she actually wrote up this plan for us, and this is the kind of work that I'm going to be asking you to do after Giving Hearts Day to help other organizations develop plans like these. All right, so Facebook is the hub. We're trying to post 3 times a day coming into the event. We set up an event there. We've got, one of the reasons why this is our place to be is we've got over 1,000 followers here as opposed to under 100 on Twitter. We're kind of new to Twitter. And you might have been noticing even that it's not clear that Twitter in Fargo-Moorhead really has much of a reach. You can see we get 4 or 5 likes on things. If you've been watching your other organizations, most of them are getting a pretty small number of interactions. And so I don't mind being on Twitter. I'm just not sure about the return on investment. I certainly don't think in Fargo-Moorhead area, that you get a huge return on investment if you put a lot of time into it. But it can still do some good things for you. So that's, I guess, let me stay here for a second. So we've moved into Twitter, and then we've also opened up an Instagram account for the first time, again, mainly to highlight some of these pictures, like we're seeing here. Lana's Home Sweet Home cookie, and so we're trying to make some promotions there. I should have pulled that up, and I was on my phone looking at our Instagram account. We're actually doing better in terms of interactions on Instagram than we are on Twitter, which is an interesting thing to realize and learn. Well, obviously the big challenge is tracking all of this to try to get a sense of how people found out about our organizations. Did they find out about it through one of these particular channels and donate? Did they find out about it through email? Did they find out about it through our postcard? Those are the sorts of things that will be an ongoing process to work on after Giving Hearts Day. Let me wrap up one more thing. Just I hope you've been all watching. Sort of the central hub to all of this is the Dakota Medical Foundation and the Impact Foundation. And they are, they're promoting the day in general, and I think it's really interesting to watch them promote things like one of their taglines this year is obviously "Count me," sort of count towards the match, count towards the contributions. But they're also using a slogan that's about making, make our area, make our region the most generous region in America. And so they aren't promoting an individual organization. They're trying to create a sense of community. If you think back to chapter 4 in the textbook, that sense of membership, shared emotional connection. And then, right, so those two things are happening already, and then there's that membership influence, right? By making a donation, you will be, if you follow their message, you will be contributing to making our region the most generous in the country. Now, obviously, we're small in terms of population, but the region raised over $10 million last year. So, in terms of percentage of gifts, we do quite well. And then this year, obviously, they're hoping to extend that even further. And with that, the last piece of that community was that sense of needs fulfillment, is that that you've contributed. If you contribute on Giving Hearts Day, you've contributed to this mission of making us the most generous region in the country. So that's a quick romp through our strategy, all the way from postcard through email to Facebook, where we're doing most of our work, into Twitter, where we're trying to make an impact and be in a position to have it be more influential next year, to Instagram. Well, I guess I'll encourage you to go check us out on Instagram rather than show you that there. And I think if you compare that to our numbers, and I would suggest you do that with other organizations, see where they're doing well, and maybe we'll make a discovery here that really Instagram is the place to be in terms of likes and follows, and then we'll want to see if that converts into donation dollars. Be happy to take some comments on this post, questions, either right on our course website or in our course Facebook page. Like to see what like to hear about and see what you're seeing in terms of Giving Hearts Day over the next little while. That will require some interaction through Facebook or through Twitter. But the next couple of days should be pretty exciting for the class and for trying to get a sense of how nonprofits in the area are using social media. So I hope you enjoy your time. Stay up past midnight tonight, see how things kick off. Get up early in the morning and watch those dollars ring up. Should be a good time. Talk to you later.